Today we will be making our world famous Danish soup dumplings, or the Germans call them Spaetzle. But now you will have the recipe, so don't come asking for any more. Here it is. You're going to have a pot. You're going to put some soup stock into it. Doesn't matter what kind you use. Just put them broth in a pot. Alright. You're going to get that warmed up so that you got a little soup. Alright, as you can see, we have our pot with our soup getting warmed right here in the stove. Oh my god, it's a giant hand. Ah! Then we have another pot, a good heavy pot. Enough to really hold some heat. Now why don't we turn that stove on there, get that pot and start to warm up. This is a very accurate recipe, so people listen up. My assistant, would you please take the wooden spoon and grab half of that good natural homemade butter. Put it right into this pot here. We're going to do around a stick of butter. That's all. Now we're going to get that to melt down. Now as that's melting, you want to make sure that you've measured yourself out a cup and a half of flour. There is 3 eggs just in case to check our consistency. There's a little milk for our thinning process and a little bit of sea salt over there. We're waiting. We're going to get that butter to melt. Now what we're doing here is, we've got our butter melted. Now my assistant will be putting the flour, let's go at 1 cup at a time into the butter. Go ahead. Take your fork and start to just stir that so that all the little granules of flour in the whole mess get some butter on every single little piece of flour. Hurry up, just stir it in. Alright. Now as you can see, that's still pretty sloppy wet, so let's go in with another whole thing of flour. And what you want it to do is get it to where it starts to kind of break up. And the only reason it's not that accurate is because who knows how much water's in your butter. And yes, there is water in your butter. It's called whey. It's just you don't want it to get in your way. That's exactly what you want to do. You just gotta keep working all that flour in until you end up with kind of a cornmeal look. Alright. I think you've got that pretty good. No, don't use a spoon. You don't need that. You want to keep using the fork. And what we're going to do now is you're going to add 1 egg. We're going to turn the heat off of that stove too. Now start working that right into the flour with your fork. Just mash, mash. Hurry up. You don't want it to cook. You want it to get mixed all in. And it's going to make your flour come back apart and look all sloppy and messy. Now as soon as that egg sort of disappears, then go ahead and add your next egg. And again, you're just going to work that, keep working it in until you get it all smoothly mixed together. And then comes the secret. Just keep working it. Now the pot's warm because it's not on the heat anymore. Now see, what's going to start happening is that flour is going to start getting a little bit of... Okay, work that one in. We don't want to add too much flour because you don't want it to become a tough noodle. Look at that stirring technique. Isn't that amazing? He has such a smooth control of that fork. He's just spinning that dough. It's getting a little more elastic with each time. That's pretty doggone good. Let me see one thing. Okay, now here's a Spaetzle maker. This is an old contraption. It has perforations like a strainer. It's got a little cup that actually, ouch, it's hot now, slides along. And once you put the dough in, it pours right through, and you just move this thing back and forth, dropping it into the hot soup underneath, making soup. So now what we need to do is we've got a pretty thick kind of a dough here that's, oops, got a pretty thick kind of dough here that's kind of nice and just slightly glutinous. Now we're going to add a little milk to that, about a tablespoon. Now work that into your dough again.
Ooh, Spaetzle chicken, Spaetzle soup. Hansons.
Now go ahead and add the rest of that milk into that. Alright. So we want it to just be a little bit soupier so that it slowly drains through those holes in this little maker here. Refrigerator mouse, could you hand us the milk, please?
Need more, huh?
Yeah, just a bit. We're just going to add just another tablespoon of milk into that. There we go. About a tablespoon and a half, too. We just want it to be thinner. Okay, work that in quickly. Your soup it always takes you just about as much time to boil water as it is to make the dough. See how that's starting to now loosen back out. As soon as we've got all that milk incorporated into that, we're going to put it in the maker. It's going to be good. Alright, pour that in. Got a nice hot maker. Stuff's going to go right into this little cup. That batch always fills this. May I recommend you never try a double batch of this. They never, ever turn out. It's weird, I know. Now you need a pot holder. And all he's going to do now is slide the little tray part back and forth. As you can see, the noodles are starting to drop. They're dropping into boiling water. And every once in a while you take your wooden spoon and you reach down into your soup and just gently touch those noodles so that they don't keep gluing to themselves underneath, so they're not stuck to the bottoms and so on. And you just keep rolling that tray back and forth. Gave up on that pot holder, didn't you?
Oh, it's not that hot.
It's one of them new silicone honeycomb ones that are supposed to be wonderful little pot holders. They suck. See how those Spaetzle noodles are just coming right on through. As soon as they start to float in your boiling water, or soup, or broth, or whatever you're cooking them in, as soon as they start to float, they're done. So keep going, man. You want